May 13th, 2021, 5:50 a.m. So today is a new day. Yesterday was pretty rough for me, but I'm feeling good, feeling pretty fresh. And something that I'm going to be doing today is trying to mark my zones off. I watched a video that Kelly recently did, and this is nothing new to me, but something that kind of reinstilled zones and trading our value areas, our low volume nodes, and our edges of value, and how and why that's so important. It's something, and it's a concept that I know and I understand pretty well, but something that I need to focus on even more than I have been. And I think that yesterday was a good example of me getting on the wrong side of some trades, and I think that my read had kind of gotten off a little bit, and also trying to anticipate what was going to happen before actually having the market show me what was going to happen got me on the wrong side of trades, and where I was moving into or an imbalance push that I saw as an imbalance, and it was really just a failure of value or balance, and then a rejection, and it got me on the wrong side of the market. So we'll see how it goes today, but we are way below yesterday's range, and we've moved down way 150 ticks below yesterday's value, and now here we are back in this balance that we've been in for a long time, right at this big point of control, and this high volume area. So we're kind of pushing possibly in between the two areas here. So what I'm going to be watching is how are we going to treat these highs. The overnight high here, overnight low, and so we are in balance from Tuesday. So are we going to stay in balance today, or push the edges of balance and have some kind of expansion? I'd like to see us get outside of one side or the other. Obviously regain yesterday's value, or break out of today's value and break the overnight low. I mean, we'll obviously see a break one way or the other of the overnight high and the overnight low, but alright, so I took my first trade here, long, and pretty much real quickly taken out. I had my stop below this bar low here at 43, and on this imbalance push up, and I got taken out to the tick at 43. Put in this volume and pushed up, so now I am trying again at 50. I have an order here sitting at 50, and the idea is to take out this weak low to the left. We pushed deep into this, tested all the trouble to the left, so to take out these highs here. So this all looks real weak to me. We've tested up into here, so anywhere up into this area would be a good target, into 86, but really looking to break into the round number at 65. So at this point I'm just so gun shy, wanting to get my risk off immediately, and I gotta break that, and I know that. So any de-risk point here is possibly valid, but not until really this bar high here. This is a valid de-risk area now, and I will go ahead and get my risk off now. Now let's see, this is a minor trouble area here, and looking, so I just got taken out for 15. I didn't mean to. The reason that happened is because my default stop or my default target for the trade is set at 15. So that's a little bit of an error, but not the worst idea coming into this, the little bit of minor trouble here. But again, looking for these tops to go, so I may re-enter if we get a pull back down to this trouble here, because I would expect this to hold. Don't want to whine about being unlucky, but this idea was solid, and then to come down and get taken out to the tick, I don't know what else I can do about that other than give it a little bit more space than a one tick stop. But generally I don't want the trade to be back behind here, so to get nicked out for one tick on a 6 tick loss is a little bit unlucky, because the idea was, and the concept of the trade was correct. I tried to get back in this trade after taking my 15, we had this nice little push here, and tried to get back in on at 66. Now we're putting in some volume above these highs and breaking this weak high, which was my expectation, and we are likely to move higher now. So that's all right. I will take the 15 tick win, but that's 25 right there, or actually that's 30 from my entry now, and pushing up into this. This is somewhat tested, and looking to, this high tick would have been a fine area, but this low volume area and this 96 would have been a good number. And something else that we see here is this high tick here at the upper edge of today's value, 86 here, but this is a major swing low at this 96. Question being, would I have sat through this? Yes, likely, because we formed this small balance area, which we're likely to do, and then any tests back down in here of this 57, or even really back into this 54 balance would have been my expectation. And we form this balance and then push up again. I don't see that I have much to do here now as far as a fresh entry. If we come back down and test this trouble, then we're failing all of these highs here. So that wouldn't be great for the longs. If the longs were still real strong, it would be better to see them hold this area. We could definitely retest this and move higher, but as far as initiating fresh risk here, I wouldn't be real comfortable with that. And we have this low volume node between value areas here. So if we come down below this, where this is somewhat of a failure, and I'd be less excited about the long side here. But looks like we may be holding the top side support resistance now and moving higher, and we'll see. Little mantra that I'm trying to keep in my mind at all times is, where is the opportunity? And I'm trying to focus on, so much like Kelly said, how do I switch my mentality from trying not to lose to where is the opportunity? Because I agree, that's definitely, at this point, that's the biggest thing holding me back. So where is the opportunity? This is what I was talking about as well, about initiating new longs in here, and I'm anticipating what hasn't happened yet. So if we come down and fail here, back into this range, if I initiate risk here at the 66, I would have to be very mindful of now this being failed above, and now having this trouble above that I'd be trading back into. So that doesn't look real good for a long trade. Or at least if I did buy here on a pullback, I would have to manage my risk real tightly and into this 75 area. But I'm not going to do that, because we also, this was a fairly significant area of supply to the left, even though I think a test higher is definitely possible. On the other side of things, though, if we can hold this area and push back up on some kind of increased volume and a imbalance push up, a long trade again in here after an imbalance up to break these highs and then move up into that 96 number is a possibility as well. But that's about a 30 tick possibility, but taking a trade, I'd have to be somewhere in this 80, 82, 83, and then 96. Still nice up into the 96 is getting close to 20, which is always a nice target to shoot for. So this is what I was talking about. We have pushed down, rejected, failed these highs, and now pushing back down into this demand. So I could take a blind entry here for a long, but then I have this trouble above, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hit this trouble and come back down and fill in this space back down to this demand as well. So a little bit of a dicey situation right here until I see some movement to the contrary. Alright, I'm going to try along here again here at 73. We have held this area, pushed back up on a nice imbalance on volume. The only concern I have here is putting in this volume here, and if we don't hold this little trouble area, I have the volume above, but I'm going to watch and see how that's tested. So I have been filled, and I'm long again with my stops below. Here it's about 10 ticks of risk on this trade here. I just took a reduced stop, and I put that right here below this bar low at 68. On any push down here, I wouldn't want to be below that, because then we would be below trouble. And so far it one ticked me, and now we're just kind of bouncing around here. This is sitting in that discomfort area. I would say I wouldn't be wrong until down below the 62, but that would be my full 10 tick loss. So this may be a case of me trying not to lose, not letting the trade play out. Now here we are back pushing up on this increased volume here. So this is what I was talking about on not taking a full stop here, because if we did get this push down below this 68, now the longs are definitely in trouble because we're sitting below this structure. So this doesn't look great for long trade anyway. We really have failed these highs here, came up, put in volume here, and now have imbalanced down. So I would be expecting this trouble to hold, and then a push down into this demand area to the left, and even this isn't the strongest low either. So I'm short here at the 28, and almost took me out on this compression bar here, and we moved all the way back up. I had about 10 ticks of risk on there, so I'm looking for this low to flush, and then to come out and take out the overnight low. And beyond that, we have this low tick here at 86, which would be a pretty good target, but likely going to target a flush of the overnight low down to the round number. We'll see how that gets tested, but I could definitely see getting down to this low tick at 87. Here we are back up to my entry. We'll see what happens. Really trying not to mess with my stop until we break this low here. It's so tempting, so uncomfortable to sit in this back and forth here, but we also have this volume being put in down here now. But to me, it looks like this is definitely likely to go. It's a little clue here, increased volume here on this compression. So that's definitely good for the shorts. And then she just released, so I will de-risk to +1. See what happens if we can get a flush of this overnight low here. And we're definitely seeing some pretty big volume put in here. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back up to here, so I won't take that off. I won't manage it too tightly, but a target around that round number, but definitely could target, like I said, that 87. We have a little bit of trouble here sitting down below now. We see this compression bar here and this volume that was put in, but I'm going to hold and see what happens when we test through it. The test here on this pushback into trouble above is expected. So I don't like being above this volume now, but I don't really have any way to manage this other than taking it off back into a test of this. But being so close to that overnight low, we're really likely to flush that. I would be surprised to see a reverse here other than a rip up and then a move down. So not much for me to do. Alright, so I'm managing this pretty tight here. Pretty big volume coming in at that 07, 06, 08 area. So real tempted to lock in 20 here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I was just taken out at 64.01 and likely to hit that 87, but around this round number, we have all this space to come back up and fill in to back up to 12. So 01, so that's 27 ticks, so I'll take that. Looking like that was a great exit so far. We're all the way back up to 28, which was my entry. Trying to shoot for that 87 would have been definitely a big mistake. So lots of volume coming in here at the bottom here. I'm going to mark this off. And looking like now on the 15, look at this. This is definitely a rejection and a failure of this high, which makes sense. We've respected this area multiple times, which, yeah, you can say this is likely to break and move lower, but we've been in this value area for so long, and we found buyers here. Large buying here, large demand zone here, and the last time we've been back here. And now we found buying again with a strong imbalance push higher. So really liking the longs here from this time, or at least starting to pay attention to see if I can find something, and likely to go back up. Our pony controls way down here to test the upper side of value eventually, and we'll see what happens when we get back into this balance. Just wanted to mention real quick where we came to on these lows is 96. I wish I would have been paying more attention to this. It would have given me more confidence on a exit here. But I mean, I nailed it pretty close to where we were looking. But look at on the 5 minute here, where this last seller was found, where this last, or right here, I mean, it's a real minor one, but where this space is filled into the 96, and that's exactly where we came to the tick, to the edge of this demand push right here. So we rallied hard off the lows of the day and moved all the way back up here and regained value here in this balance. So I feel like all of this is pretty weak. So at some point we can see all of this taken out. I'd like to find a long setup, but we have so much space down into here as well. We need to be patient and see what happens, especially when we come back down to this, test the point of control of the day from above, if we get there, and see how we treat it. I'd like to see some kind of failure or a test of this area, and then look for setups long. So we've come back down and tested this lower side of balance, this lower side of value here, and rejected and held. The issue for the longs here, though, is that there was a tremendous amount of volume put in here. Not really a real strong rejection in price, but not exactly sure what does. I guess it doesn't really matter what this volume indicates, but to take a long back up into this is risky. So I want to see how that volume is traded. If we get back up there, though, the thing is wanting to see how that volume is traded is kind of late on for the break higher. But if price goes much higher, it's still a great entry, but it's just an issue for the long as I see it. Had an order after this imbalance, and this is exactly what I was talking about, to enter at 55, and it just is not coming back. So I don't really have anything to do here now. We've broken these highs. I missed that one, but aggressive entry would be to have taken more of a blind entry on this push down and when we held value, but this lower side of value here, and held this is some of the largest volume of the day, and this is just a beautiful opportunity missed, but also slightly risky coming into this volume. I could have taken something more blind here on a push into this trouble and down here at the 48 or the 50, and then de-risked into, which is 10 ticks or so into this volume, and see how we held it and just managed to risk real tightly. But it may have been worth the risk, because the upside potential is, with all of this weakness to the left, is really big. Took a little break trying to listen to the live session, but I took another loss, -10, and got ripped out in less than a minute. Another break even, trying to grab the long. Really confused. I don't understand it all. Kelly was talking about the 89 to here, and I understand why the expectation is for that to test, but the significant number is much higher to me. I don't really see the 89. I mean, I guess this high, this bar high is a significant area of supply, so that makes sense. But after not being able to take out these highs here, I understand this is weak, and I was thinking the same thing. But on large volume to move up in the large demand area, then this high tick was put in, this failure, and then we began to just push down. And I understand that my expectation would be that this holds, but then after this imbalance move down, and then we hold this value, and then after this really large imbalance on very high volume, I'm thinking short. I tried after we tested this trouble, moved up, and this is where I took my -10 right around here, and I just got ripped out. Unfortunately, I understand the trade still for the long context, but with all of this volume above and the high tick, I was thinking it was kind of a trouble area to be long there. And then this imbalance was for me to get back on the short concept. Yeah, we have a lot of untested demand here, but this balance here is holding, and then we get this failure and imbalance down again, and I grabbed the 41 short. That was after this imbalance, I believe. Then I grabbed the 41. I almost got taken out. I was thinking this was not going to work out, and we were going to push back up above into the range above. And then I wrote it all the way down, and I took a nice plus 21. I think my target was the 13, and the reason why I was targeting 13 was because that was kind of the edge of this last seller here, and the top side of this little value area, and I think we got to 14. So, and now here we are at my target at 11. So nice trade, real nice trade. I liked the way that I was reading it, and my context seemed to be pretty on. So that puts me back up at 42 for the day. So took another long trade here at 09, and I was taken out for a -5, and managed it too tight. So 925, which was right here on this little spike up, and I was watching it. There was this higher volume here, so I psyched myself out a little bit, and I got taken out at 05 here, which is nothing. Expectation would be to hold here. Then this really large compression volume came in again, and I tried to get 09 again. My platform disconnected. When it reconnected, it had already taken off, which was super weird. But as soon as we pushed slightly above this, I thought it was worth a try to take any price in here above this large absorption. And here we go. That would have been a really nice win, at least into these bar highs, but likely to go much higher and take out these highs here into the edge, this flip zone here at this low volume node around 47, 48 to test into this volume. So I missed it. I'm probably going to call it a day because I missed out on that one, and it's already 9:30. So end it on a nice win today. That would have been a nice one to at least get at least 20 here, but didn't work out. So taking one more try here long at 92. We had the low of the day put in again, and nice little imbalance push up, and some make or break. This will be my last trade of the day for sure. If we can't hold this area and push higher, I'll be done. I was taken out for a 4-tick loss, and I'm done for the day. And what else I realized is that I'm done saying the word close. There's no more close. Close, what do they say? The saying is close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and close has no business, no point in this game whatsoever. And that was just a little false breakout higher, and now we've taken out the lows once again. So I'm done trying to buy the lows on this market. Huge volume coming in now, and likely to come down and test these previous lows here. So there's untested demand all in this area. So the long is just no good. Trying to keep the long context going for basically the last over 100 ticks, and it just hasn't played out. So that's it. It was a good day. Continued to take small losses, 3 small losses on a bad idea. So this says 0, but that's the problem with the sim, so it should have been -4. And here we are down to 75 now. And my video is very long again today, but it's hard to talk about all these trades in such a, wow, look at that thing, just the bottom fall out of it. Crazy. And this is exactly why the long delta was able to be positive for a 70 tick move down. I'm guessing because all of this move, delta was increasing, which is a crazy divergence, but now it makes sense when there were people, large position shorts accumulating into this whole area. So they were selling here, selling, accumulating positions, and now for this huge move down. Hindsight is always 20/20, but to get long in front of this high tick here with absorption was a mistake, because we came up above here and there was more absorption here, and I still took the short. And if buyers were in control and in charge, we probably would have either held this area or never even came back to my entry. So you always get pullbacks on your losses when you're wrong, and never when the market is strong, because it doesn't come back and fill you. So something I'm really trying to be mindful of. Also completely working against the long trade. Not only was this high tick, but then we had the push down, and I entered 1014 here, and we held the trouble from below. So this is just not a good long idea at all. And if anything, a better short, looking to take out the lows. Problem with that is that we have increased volume here, and all of these lows were large volume areas.